Aloha and welcome to E25, Fix Bad JavaScript. So we're going to walk through the process of using ESLint to get rid of a whole bunch of errors in some really bad JavaScript code that I constructed for you all. So let's see how this all works. This is an untimed, experience because you're just trying to learn how to do things here. The first thing is we're going to create an IntelliJ project called Bad JavaScript. So I can go to IntelliJ, I can say new project, static web, and then here I can say bad Java. I wonder if I have a bad JavaScript on the... No, I don't. Bad JavaScript. Oops, bad JavaScript. And if I type finish, it's going to say directory does not exist, so we'll say OK. Now we got this bad JavaScript directory on the command line. And then the next thing we're going to do is set up our project to use our class coding standards. So hopefully you've all done E24 already. If you haven't, you should totally do it. Okay. E24 is important because it steps you through doing some one-time installation things. Like you got to install Node.js and NPM one time. You have to install the Node plugin in IntelliJ one time. You have to configure default settings one time. Okay. And then you get to the things that you have to do for every single different project, which is to download sample ESLintRC, download sample package.json, and then run npm install. Okay, so that's what we're going to do now. So we have to copy sample.eslintRC and sample package.json into our bad JavaScript directory. So we'll download sample.eslintRC, and then we'll show it in Finder. There we go. And then I'll copy it, propeller C, and then I'll go into IntelliJ IDEA, and I'll propeller V to paste it and get rid of the sample prefix. And when you get rid of the sample prefix, then it's recognized as this special file. You get this crazy little icon here. Okay, and if we go back to Chrome, we download sample package.json, we get this, Chrome get this translate thing. But then we can do a control right click to save as. And then we can select bad JavaScript and we can save it as package.json. You may have other ways to do this. However you get it into your IntelliJ file is fine with me. As when you finished, right, you should have a package.json in there. It should look like this, as well as your ESLint file like this. We have this install dependencies. I prefer to install dependencies from the command line. So I'll bring up fish and I'll do a cd to desktop / bad JavaScript, and then I'll do an npm install. What that will do is create a node modules directory and package.lock.json. And if we go back to here, what we can see is we have this node modules, and we can get rid of this. It also should mean, if we've configured things correctly, that ESLint will run on our JavaScript files. And let's just kind of quickly go through what things should look like. So in preferences, if you go to preferences, languages and framework JavaScript, ECMAScript 6 should be the type of JavaScript that the system will understand. If we go to editor, inspections, we'll see for JavaScript, if we undo it, Okay, this is good. So for some reason we have some other JavaScript functions enabled. So what we'll do is we'll click here to click them all off, but then go to Code Quality Tools and enable ESLint. And that's the way it should look. So it's good that we checked that. And then if we go to Preferences, Languages and Frameworks, JavaScript, Code Quality Tools, ESLint, it should look like this. We got automatic ESLint configuration, which is what we want. Okay, so everything looks like it should be good. So let's go back to our assignment here. We're going to create a file called badjavascript.js. Bad JavaScript. Okay, so we can go to the top level, do a propeller N. We want a file badjavascript.js. You could have selected JavaScript and would have kind of turned out to be the same. And then we're going to copy all of this code and go over here, and we're going to put it all in here. And what you can see is we get all of these red lines. And if we click over here, you can see we found 28 errors. That's not good. All right, and so the goal here, I think at this point, is we should go through the code and fix all the errors. All right, so let's start doing that. And basically, the idea is you kind of hover over a red squiggle, read the error message, which should always start with ESLint : and then try to decide what it should do. I'm going to show you on this first one that it tells you the ESLint rule that was violated at the very end in parentheses. So you can see here it says no-var. Now, some of these error messages you might not really understand what it means, okay? And so the way that you deal with that is you can go into a browser and you can say ESLint followed by the name of the violation. And you just Google it. And that'll take you straight to the page that describes this particular error and what it is you have to do. Okay? So this says, you know, you should use const or let rather than var. So what should we do in this case? Well, I'm looking at this and I don't see that we're going to actually use foo anywhere else or reassign it. So I think I'm just going to call it const. And you can indeed see that the one red squiggle has been gotten rid of. And now as I go through this, I'm going to just make some kind of random changes. We're not really concerned with preserving the semantics of this code, which doesn't do anything at all. We're just trying to get rid of red squiggles any way we can. So you may have chosen let for that, and you know, let's see if we chose let, okay. You know, let works for JavaScript for ESLint as well in this case. Okay, foo is assigned a value but never used. Foo is never reassigned, use const instead. So actually we should go back to const because we don't reuse it. And now we see foo is assigned a value but never used. So we could either, you know, get rid of that line, all right, or we could use foo. So I don't know, could do that. And that's another way of getting rid of it. ESLint, strings must use single quote. Okay, we don't have to look up that one. That's pretty easy to understand. Gets rid of that. Const opt, and we have car. Okay, expected property shorthand, object shorthand. Well, that might be interesting to look up. And so you can actually just kind of type it in to the and so the idea here, it turns out that when you're declaring JavaScript properties that where the field is the name of a variable and the value of that field should be the value of that variable name, you can substitute x:x by just using x. And so that's what it's complaining about. So if we just get rid of this, we'll get rid of that error. Unnecessarily quoted property, okay, so we can get rid of the quotes. Fixes that one. Unexpected string concatenation, prefer template, okay? So this means we use template literals, my favorite way of constructing strings. So we could say this is and then a $, curly brace, car, another template literal, got rid of that one. Unnecessary escape character in there, so let's get rid of that. Missing trailing comma for JSON, or at least ESLint always wants a comma at the bottom of object definitions. Car is better written in dot notation. Okay, that's true. And again, you could look up this rule. You could, if you want to learn more about it, but we'll just fix it. Stuff equals new array. The array literal notation is preferred, and you can read why in ESLint. So the cool thing is that not only does this do these pages describe what the error is and how you fix it, but it talks about why this is a good rule. Why is that a best practice? So you can learn a lot about JavaScript best practices from doing this. Okay, missing space between opening brace. This is just a formatting thing. Unnecessary semicolon, get rid of that. Expected a return a value at the end of function zob. Consistent return. This is a really cool one. It turns out that we return foob if param equals 4, but we don't have a return value if param not equal to 4. So we could say return, foob plus 3 or something. And we have to put in a space here. Okay, and that gets rid of that. If we go back to param, no param reassign. So I don't know, maybe I'll just get rid of that line. And then expected up here, foo is never reassigned, so use const instead. Whoops. So we'll say const, and then we can see we need these spaces in here. And then we should be using triple equals. That means that these two sides, in order to be true, the two sides have to agree both in value and in type. And that's can avoid errors due to implicit type conversion, which is kind of a subtle kind of bug in your programs. Okay, going down here, useless constructor. So propeller delete will delete that entire line. Get name is a duplicate, so we could just get rid of this. And then down here we have multiple spaces found before obj, so that's good. And then it says expected a line break after this opening brace. Okay. Expected a line break before this closing brace. Okay, that's what you want. Trailing space is not allowed. If I just save the file with a propeller S, then actually IntelliJ will strip those spaces for me. Okay, I still got something here, missing trailing comma. So I put that in, and I've got my green check mark. So I've got some typos, but we won't worry about typos for this. Maybe it doesn't know what Zumba is. All right, let's go back and see where we are. In the assignment. Okay, fix all the errors. When you're done, you should see a green check mark at the top right of your editor window, which we do. So I think we finished this assignment. I hope that's useful to you in understanding ESLint. Main thing I think you should get out of this is that reading, when you see a violation, if you don't immediately understand, like, oh, I need a single quote rather than double quote, go to the ESLint documentation and check out this rule, because you'll learn something interesting about JavaScript. I almost guarantee it. I've learned so much from reading the ESLint rules about best practices. It's really valuable. So enjoy this, and I'll see you soon.